Is California finally turning? Are they waking up? We got a lot to get into today, a big show, but we're going to address that question. California is of major importance for the country. In last week's or earlier this week's show, we went over the Electoral College and how big a role with 54 Electoral College votes it plays. But culturally, it plays a big role as well. My dad, who was in a lot of different businesses, he was an entrepreneur, but one of them was the restaurant business. And he used to take us out to California. This is back in the 70s and 80s, before the internet. And what he used to do was he used to say that the food trends would go from the west to the east, but they would go from California to New York and then to the East Coast cities and then spread out around the country. And so he felt that he had an edge if he went to California, saw what was out there, and then brought it back up to Boston where we were. And we used to get to go on those trips, which was awesome because you're eating at 5 restaurants a day and you're ordering half the menu. So it was awesome. I have 2 brothers, and we just would eat tons. So it was awesome for young guys to be able to just eat endless amounts of food and try everything. But I use that to say that California is of a bigger importance than just the Electoral College votes. So anyways, we're going to get into that. This is The Ordinary American. I'm your host, Paul Sarkis. This is an anti-leftist show, which means we're anti-Democrat. We want people to wake up. We want to confirm the reality of the 77 million people who voted for Trump and the millions more who have woken up already. But we want to help our very not okay sisters and brothers who are still voting for Democrats. Voting for Democrats is breaking into jail. Okay, we're gonna get to some of that California stuff, but first, what I try to do with the show is we do the show live, mostly because I'm not going to bother to edit it because I don't know how to do that. And I think that there's some real value in just having it be live. But after the show, I try to produce maybe 1 to 3 short clips to put out in the universe to get the message out. We're trying to spread the message of Trump's amazing plan and what it's doing, and about the evil of the left and the battle between the left and the right. So I think it was last week, I put out a short where I basically said, I'm begging Ken Griffin from Citadel to please leave New York. Brief review: Ken Griffin is the CEO, founder, creator of the big hedge fund financial institution Citadel, billionaire, extremely successful, was from Chicago, left a city, has been in New York a lot, has some Florida stuff. And Mondami used him in one of his residences, doxed him, essentially, and said, Ken Griffin lives here, but only part-time. And we want to tax these people because they can afford it. And they probably won't leave. And unfortunately, Citadel has a huge development going on, or at the beginning stages of building a building. So I was basically saying on this short, which was just a clip from my show, hey, you can't stay. If you stay, he's going to use you as the whipping boy. If you leave half that building, if you leave 1,000 jobs, whatever you leave, he's going to use it and say, see, they won't really leave. We can tax them. And go to Florida now and just go with DeSantis and make a big deal out of it. Well, he's starting to do that. Okay, he's starting to do that. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I want to play this clip. Let's see if I can get it up here. Let's see if I may have found the wrong one, but we'll find out. There's 2 clips. Both are good. Let me see which one this is. All right, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go.
Are these states, Tommy's making it really clear, New York doesn't welcome success. Are these states trying to push away from their populations those who really do believe in the merits of capitalism, the merits of a free society, the importance of education? I mean, to me, it feels like Illinois has been very successful with this undertaking. If you've opposed J.B. Pritzker, you probably left by now. You've had enough. It's just not worth it every day. What did it feel like in Chicago with J.B. Pritzker as governor? It felt like being a salmon swimming upstream to die.
That's
Like,
nice.
why?
That's a nice image. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, isn't that a nice way to end today?
Yeah.
But it felt like pointlessly hopeless. Now, the great news is most of my friends from Chicago are now my friends in Miami.
That is the best line. Okay. They're all moving down there. Okay. I want to play this other clip, but see what he's saying? He's saying that these leftist cities, they say, and Madami came out with a sort of like an apology, like not really an apology, softer tone, like, oh, we want everybody to be successful, but we really think you can pay more. That's still the same resentment and anger. And as Ken Griffith calls out, I have a friend named Griffith, so I keep on saying that, Ken Griffin. They don't like success. They're trying to punish success. And now all of his friends who used to be in Chicago are in Florida. So it works out great. I think if I get the right next clip, I wanted to play you, but that's an important one. Let's see here. Okay.
The only decision that we've made with no regrets in the last few days is to expand the size of our office footprint in our new Miami headquarters.
Just in the last few days, you made that.
Yes,
in reaction to New York.
In reaction to New York, we filed the permit with the city of Miami. We've added several 100,000 square feet of new space in our new building. We will add far more jobs in Miami over the next decade as an immediate and direct consequence of the mayor's poor decision here with respect to his posting of that video.
Okay. Now, great news, but I'm going to push back a little bit. My brain works differently. I think that's great. He's saying the right things, but what I didn't hear is we're moving everything out. And what Mandami's going to do, again, if Citadel leaves, there were going to be, I think, 6,000 permanent jobs there. If he leaves 2,000, what Mandami's going to do is he's going to say, see, we could tax them more. And that fuels the people who are weak-minded and are being tricked by this leftist resentment building nonsense. So while I'm thrilled, I would encourage Ken Griffin still remove everything. It might suck for a short period of time, but in the long run, it will be way better, not only there, but everywhere else, because it will be a warning. You're going to start to see this more and more. Okay, it's construction jobs, it's permanent jobs. I hate that people will lose those jobs, but we're fighting for a country here. This is left versus right. Okay, so I'm not claiming that like we made a difference and he saw that. I mean, we got whatever, maybe 1,500 views or something on that short video, so not breaking any records. But we're trying to put out stuff that attacks things in a different way with a message. And it was good to see that he's now doing that, not because of us. He would have done it anyways. It made some total sense. But I'm glad to see that he's doing it. I think he needs to go further. I think he needs to go very, very much further. Okay. I am going to now skip to the LA mayor's race. Both the governor's race and the mayor's race are heating up. They both have jungle primaries on the 2nd of June. It looks to me from the polling, and I don't really trust polls, but when the polls, which are usually slanted left, have Steve Hilton in first place in the governor's race, that's great. Now, can he win on June 2nd? I don't know. I can't imagine what types of people are voting for Katie Porter. I mean, it's almost hard to say anything polite or be charitable. She's a wretched human being who comes across as a real dolt. But, and now you get Steyer. He's the billionaire who is one of these knuckleheads that's saying get rid of ICE altogether. Total fraud. We're going to get to that. So I'm going to focus this right now on Pratt. Pratt had his first debate last night. And my strong suspicion is that the Bass and Rahman camps, those are the two big lefties who were in that debate, thought, well, we're politicians. This is what we do. We'll do the debate. And instead, they ran up against a younger Trump. He says common sense things. You're going to hear in a second, I'm going to play a few of these things. But some of the things he says is, the homeless people are not the good citizen abiding by the rules and the laws who wound up on a bad streak and couldn't afford the mortgage. That's not who this is. He says that the DEA puts the number at 90% of the homeless in LA are drug addicts. Or as Pratt talks about, super drug addicts, super meth. I don't really know what that is, but it's something, I guess, worse than meth. And he just says, put them away. Jail, insane asylum, or some kind of residential housing that they're forced to go into. They can't be on the street. That's a simple concept, okay? I'm going to play you his latest response. What's her name? Bass answered a question by doing what the left always is taught to do. Lie. Why? Because they haven't adjusted yet to the society that a Pratt can get a video out showing the lie in less than 12 hours, probably less than 5 hours or 3 hours. So this is his response. She claims, you'll see it in here. Let me get it up.
There was one reservoir that was out of commission. He is correct. 1 million years ago, it was for wildfires.
You lie!
But over the last 30, 40 years, it's been for drinking water.
You ain't nothing but a liar.
He talked about the winds. That is just completely inaccurate.
No way.
This is an hour-by-hour forecast here, and you can see that over the next couple of hours, we still have some pretty decent gusts.
If that were accurate, then the planes would have been able to fly. And so the winds reach close to 100 miles an hour.
Nope.
And through parts of Pacific Palisades, we've got some gusts up into the 20 to 30 mile per hour range.
And the planes were unable to fly.
So she's an incredible liar.
The devil is a liar. Bitch, I'm the truth. The devil.
Okay. I mean, this guy knows exactly how to campaign. And I will say, what he's showing, what Trump shows, is you don't need the PhD from the Kennedy School over at Harvard. You don't need to go down and train with Castro like Bass did. Okay? You don't need to go to academia. You don't need to do like Rahman did, which was get a political theory degree, or what's the other nonsensical degree? Urban planning, all this central planning, big brain stuff. Spencer Pratt. Listen, I don't know him, but common sense, she lied about that stuff. The Democrats aren't used to this because they have the media on their side so much that they get away with this all the time. Now you get guys like this who are just going to pop up these videos right away, the lie detector test, the number of lies, 7 of them in that one exchange. Tremendous. That's having a big effect. And by the way, on an issue like the fires for the people in LA, many of them already knew this. Okay? And let me tell you something. They hate this. But this is what Trump did to them. If we believe what we read, Trump used X, formerly Twitter, in 2015-16, essentially to win the presidential election. Why? Because he had a massive audience beforehand, and he's a guy who attracts the audience. Oh, look, Pratt had a massive audience before he ever decided to run for mayor. He and his wife, from the reality show, they had millions of social media followers, and they put out content all the time anyways. Then he started to put out more content with the fires, which attracted more people. So by the time he was running for mayor, a huge audience. Quick sort of detour from the politics. What this race, what Trump has shown, is that it is probably more important who you can reach and the audience you have than the topic. So when you're thinking about, if you're a younger person, career and what to do and how to move forward, it is hard not to see the value if you want to get a message out of having an audience. And I think Trump showed that, and now this guy Pratt is showing that. Okay, so all right, I want to show another one of these things because, hold on one second, is this the one? I'm not sure. I want to show the one, let me see if this is the one. I want to show the one where, yeah, this is the one. Okay. This is common sense. This is maybe the greatest political analysis moment in a lot of years. Let me get it up. And now I'm going to play it. Let's do this.
This is a yes or no question and answer. So there's an LA council member. He wants voters to decide. He is saying that non-citizens, should they be allowed to vote in local elections? Is this a yes or no, Mr. Pratt?
No.
Mayor Bass?
It depends. It's not a yes or no.
Depends on what?
Well, first of all, when you say non-citizens, it doesn't mean they're here illegal. It doesn't mean they're undocumented. They could have green cards. They could be here perfectly.
Hold on. I can't believe that she doesn't know. I think she does, and she's lying and hoping we don't know. Green card holders can't vote. Green card holders can't vote because they're not citizens yet. Do you see how he made it simple? Non-citizens, no voting. That makes sense to an ordinary American. Let's go
illegal,
on.
and there's a lot of states and cities that do that on very, very local elections. We have to see what the councilman is proposing.
Councilmember Bremen?
Yeah, I would say, again, it does depend. In other places, school boards have
yes
non-citizens
Yes or no?
who vote
Mr. Pratt, I have a question for
who are
you. You
residents who
told
vote for
NBC
these.
News.
All right. What is she saying? That genius is saying, hey, other places have illegals, so maybe we should have illegals vote. The Democrats can't say something straight. Go back to the episode that I did about James Carville. James Carville says, lie, cheat, steal, just get in power. Right there, what they don't want to answer is, no, non-citizens shouldn't vote. What did Spencer Pratt do? No, and just left it at that. Dan Bongino contrasts politically. Contrasts. That right there might be the best political moment for anybody in LA who wants to know who to vote for. But really, for the battle between the left and the right, that's the contrast. What did Mayor Bass say? Well, it depends. We've got to see what the legislation said. Oh, what do I hear in my head? Nancy Pelosi saying, if you want to see what the Obamacare legislation says, you got to pass it first. It's always a scam. It's always a scam. I played it once. I'll probably play it again. That great scene from Vacation with Chevy Chase when he needs to get his car fixed and he gets it fixed. And he says, well, how much do I owe you? And they say, well, how much you got? And he says, hey, that's not right. I'm going to go to the sheriff. And the guy flips out a badge and says, I am the sheriff. How much you got? That's what it's like being with the Democrats. Is it good or bad or should we have illegals vote? Spencer Pratt says, no. What do the other two knuckleheads say? It depends. We got to see. They might have a green card. So what? So what? The other Rahman, that idiot, what is she saying? Well, other places do it, so we should do it. Now, why do they want to do it? We've talked about this endlessly. Because they need the illegals. If they don't have the illegals, they probably can't win. That's why I cover this. It is a battle between the left and the right. And instead of looking at the battle as the biggest of the world and then the United States, we're getting very granular in one city, a big city, an important city. Okay? But it's easier to see. Should illegals vote? No, they shouldn't. Okay? What happened with the wildfires? She lied about all of that. They could have avoided the fires if the reservoir, which was not for drinking water, which was for putting out fires, was filled. The left always has a scam or a lie. Why? Because nobody would vote for. If they came out in that last night and said, yes, illegals should be able to vote, which is their truth, the race would be over. And they know it. All right, a great political moment. All right, we're gonna move on, but I wanted to make the point here. Number one, illegals shouldn't be voting ever. Okay, ever. Pratt understands and knows that. This genius does not. Okay, this genius has no idea. All right, I had one more I was gonna play of answers, but I'm gonna skip that. All right, I want to go back now. I want to go back yesterday. Wait a second, that's not right. Yesterday, we talked a bit about Obama. Obama did a video where he was basically, well, what he was really doing is, no, that's not what I want. Okay, hold on. What he was really doing was he was softening up the jury pool. How can I say that? Well, how can I say that? I can say that because that's what he was doing. What he was essentially saying is he was trying to make the claim that he never used the Department of Justice for his own sort of personal gain, which is obviously not true. What we played for you was the audio of Eric Holder saying, I'm still the president's wingman. I'm still with my boy. Why did I play that? That doesn't sound independent to me. Okay, that sounds like a guy who has your back and is going to protect you, which he did. Okay, now he is really trying to soften the jury pool because what he knows, we don't even know. So he's been contacted, or his lawyers have been contacted. They have some sense of who's being subpoenaed down in Florida in the grand conspiracy case. We all have seen the documents. We know he started the coup. We know he gave the green light. He knows what's really going on and we don't. He's coming out now and saying these things because he's essentially softening up the jury pool. He's trying to build the case so that when, hopefully, or if he gets indicted and goes to trial, he's going to pull that out and said, see, I said I never used it. And it's going to trick enough people because people are weak. Now, he's also got the others out there doing the same thing. They all take the left operates like as a Borg. They all say the same thing, which is why you see the great Maze Moore do those great videos where they're all using the same language, the same talking points. Okay, this is Raggedy Ann, Jen Psaki, and I want to play this and just listen to what she has to say.
But what is exciting about it is that you, the people out there, get to choose. There is no, thank God, dark room in Washington where people sit around and they decide here's who the nominee is going to be. Typically, that's not how it happens. It's not how democracy works. There's going to be a whole process, and maybe 30 people won for president. And the thing with Barack Obama is he wants to leave space for that.
Oh, yeah. Barack Obama wants to leave space for that. Like when Harris was chosen, where was the primary? She didn't win one primary because she didn't race in the primary. They chose her exactly how Psaki just described doesn't go on. They chose her in a back room somewhere, and somebody decided and blessed it and said, she's the nominee. I'm wrong? Well, I'm looking around. You show me. Where are the primary votes that she won? And what was the process that she went through? Okay? She described precisely what the Democrats did. This, too, is all part of the left's effort to soften up the potential jury pool, to try to get public support on their side. It's not democracy. What did she say? Something like, you want 30 people to run? When was the last time Democrats had 30 people that ran? Not 2008, when Hillary Clinton cleared the field and then Obama stepped in. Not 2012. Not 2016. Not 2020. Not 2024. Now, contrast that with the Republicans. Trump had to go through how many people were in that 2015-16 field? I remember looking up at one of the debates, and it seemed like an end, like the camera couldn't even go wide enough to get all the people in it. Okay? That's the Democrats knowing something's coming, I think, and softening up the jury pool. She's trying to say, we don't do that. Obama, see what she said? Obama wants to leave space for that. No, he doesn't. He worked hard not to leave space for that. He worked hard not to leave space for that. And Hillary Clinton, she spent 20 years threatening and hurting every potential Democrat candidate who might challenge her. Yeah, she did. Go back and read about it. Okay? Tyrant. Just brutal. All right. We're going to move on. I wanted to get to this one for a while. Where is it? Hold on. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I might not have it. Okay, I don't have it. I don't know what happened to it. No. All right, I'm going to talk about it. Sorry. In Connecticut, they are trying to pass laws to essentially ban homeschooling. Now, they don't call it banning homeschooling because, as you just said, or just saw with Karen Bass and Nithya Raman, when asked, should illegals be able to vote? They didn't give you an answer. It depends. I just got to see. I got to wonder. I got to see what the stars say. I got to check in with my other leftists. I got to do simple. No. In Connecticut, they don't say we're trying to ban homeschooling. What they do is they pass a lot of laws which they try to wrap in, what sounds like intelligent stuff. What are they starting to try to do? First thing they started to do, saying, listen, you've got to get approved or show that you have some skill or the ability, and they're trying to attack homeschoolers. Homeschoolers forever, including now, always do better on test scores than those in the public and private schools, but certainly the public schools. Now, granted, that's a very low bar. When we're reading about Detroit and Chicago and Baltimore and Atlanta, where there are many schools and some places, whole school districts, where none of the kids can read, write, or do math at grade level, it's a low bar. But homeschooling is a threat to the left. Homeschooling is a threat to the left. I'm repeating that on purpose. They are not trying to make sure that the parents who are homeschooling have the right skills. They're trying to ban it. Okay? How do they do it? The left figured out a long time ago. We certainly can do traditional socialism, communism, which is that the government itself controls all the means of production. We nationalize it. We own it. But in America, that's a little harder to do. You aren't going to see, at least hopefully not, the oil business nationalized, although we did see the student loan business nationalized, which would be a topic for another day. But what did they figure out? They figured out that if we regulate it and tax it enough, we don't have to take it over. We can just sort of own it. I'll give you utilities, certainly in California. There's a utilities board and there's commissions, and they regulate everything a utility can do. So the utility doesn't really have a lot of say over how to run its business. The regulators do. Look at the fast food industry in California. They created a fast food board. That board tells them what hours they can operate, what foods they can serve, what they have to pay people, what the benefits are, everything. So places like In-N-Out, great California company, they're not saying it directly, but they're starting to build stores in Tennessee in a second headquarters, and they're moving out. So this idea that we're going to help regulate homeschooling in Connecticut is just the first step to controlling it and banning it. Because the more people that step out of the public school system, several cascading effects happen that's bad for the left. One, we can now see that in some places in Chicago, there's very few kids in the school, but they're still getting what amounts to massive tax dollars going to it. Because as the great Corey DeAngelis pointed out, and we put up on the screen a week ago or so, the schools have become a jobs program. Okay, but we'll come back to that. So they're trying to ban homeschooling in Connecticut. This is a terrible idea. I'm actually a little surprised they haven't done it in California already. There's a big homeschooling population in California. I wish I would have homeschooled my daughter. I did not. We did not. It wouldn't have worked for our personalities. We have a great relationship. But trying to, between work and figuring out schedule and temperament, it wouldn't have worked for us. But if you can homeschool, it's a great option, and you pull yourself out of the system. So your child is now not subjected to all the brainwashing and the awfulness that goes on at public schools. And certainly in places like Connecticut and California, it's worse than other places. Big, big problem. We're going to see how much progress they make. They're going at it in a bunch of different ways in Connecticut. If I read it right, they're saying now that before you homeschool, you have to go through some process to prove, I don't know, that you can teach. I don't know, something. Anyways, Connecticut homeschooling. The great Corey DeAngelis. He's got many posts on X. You can go on RX, The Ord American, and see all of his posts because I repost his stuff all the time. He has an organization that's helping teachers remove themselves from the workforce, but keep their job and their compensation because the Supreme Court said in the Janus case that they can do that. He's got 14,000 who have already done it. By the way, that's true of any government employee in a union. You do not have to belong to the union, which means you do not have to pay dues. So you can keep your job, keep all your compensation. The only thing you're doing is you're making a statement. My money's not going to go to those leftist organizations. That's what's happening. Okay? All right. That is, that's the story on teachers. Okay, I want to transition now to, I saw something that Elon said, and I think he said it a while ago. What he basically is saying is that if you punish somebody, that punishment is eventually going to essentially take hold. Meaning, it's like training a dog. Okay? If you train a dog to, put his paw up when you put food down, well, punishment works the same way. All right, I want to play this and then we're going to talk about it.
If you punish people too much for failure, then they will respond accordingly, and the innovation you will get will be very incrementalist. Nobody's going to try anything bold for fear of getting fired or being, punished in some way. So there must be the risk reward must be balanced, and favor taking bold moves. Otherwise, it will not happen.
Okay. Obviously true and brilliant statement, but why do I bring it up, and how does it interact here with some of the topics we talk about? When we are told, as we were doing during the Obama years and certainly the Biden years, innovation, we've kind of invented everything. Growth is going to be maybe 1% to 2%. Everybody's just going to get used to it. When we watch Trump get indicted in a bunch of fraudulent court cases, obviously in a conspiracy, a coordinated conspiracy with the Department of Justice, which moves employees from the Department of Justice to the DA's office to lead the attack on a guy like Trump. When we see what happened with the January 6th people, when we see what happened with the 2020 election, and then everybody seems to have gotten away with it. When we see what happened in 2016, 17, 18 under Trump 1, okay, this is all conditioning. This is very similar to what I was pointing out with Obama, softening up the jury pool. This is all part of conditioning. What he's saying is, look, if you punish innovation, you won't get much of it. Well, if you punish the good guys, this is part of the left's plan. If we hurt Trump, the message to ordinary Americans is what? Well, what chance do I have? He's a billionaire. He's got a massive stage. He was the president, and they still did that to him? Holy cannoli, I better keep my mouth shut. That's the message. It's all conditioning. And that's what's going on right now. Now, what Trump is trying to do, and the only way Trump knows how to do it, is he's freeing all this up. Because the opposite of what Elon just said, which he pointed out at the end, is if we want innovation, we want to reward innovation. We want to reward risk-taking. We want people to go try things. We want there to be resiliency in the system. We want, when they try things, not to punish them, but to reward them. The other day, I had made dinner for my daughter, and she's a teenager, and so she was sort of complaining about the dinner. And I said to her, "Do you like that I make dinner?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "So do you think if you want me to continue to make dinner, that it's better to criticize the food and tell me what's wrong with it, or maybe tell me thanks and be grateful for it?" And she got the message. The message is you want to encourage and reward the things you want, and you're going to punish the things you don't want. She was criticizing my food. Now, listen, maybe my food deserved it. I'm a single process chef. I got to put a steak in a pan, and maybe I make rice. That's it. I'll put salt on my steak, a lot of salt. But if I put a second spice on it, that's rare. So she might have been bored. Okay? But, the cook doesn't want to be criticized. The cook wants to know somebody appreciates the meal. It's the same thing here. If we tax income, we're going to get less of it. Look what's going on with all these nonprofits, all the scams. Wait a minute. The Department of Justice couldn't find any of these things? The great Nick Shirley or the great James O'Keefe or the great Reuben brothers, they found it, but the Department of Justice or the IRS couldn't find it. What does that do? They're allowing the illegal stuff to go on. So they are sort of promoting it and showing, do these illegal things and you can get away with it. Do a legal thing, like making a post on social media with your opinion in America protected by the First Amendment, and get punished, we'll get less of that. All part of the battle between the left and the right. All right. We're going to wrap up today's show. It is Thursday. I'm trying to bring some great content with different spins on it. And hopefully we're getting the message out and we're participating not only in this June 2nd LA mayor's race for whoever's watching from LA, but hopefully for the midterms. I think the midterms are going to go better than all the polls and most of the doom and gloomers say. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be vigilant and work our tail off. It means we got to work twice as hard. But we're trying to participate in that fight because we love America, we love our God, we love our flag, and we love our family. All right, now tomorrow is Forgiveness Friday, Fired Up Friday. We'll have plenty of stuff, probably a little bit more on the forgiveness and spiritual side. I didn't mention anything today about ivermectin and fenbendazole, but I'm going to mention it on the way out here. Go do your research. If you can stay healthy and out of the system, it helps everyone. Everyone. And I'm going to mention this because it's on my mind. Please go and research Bitcoin and the digital credit instruments. Reach out. The Ordinary American at proton.me will help you do that. On X, The Ordinary American, like, subscribe, follow. Let's help get the word out. All right. I'm rooting for you. Please root for me. Or as the great Father Mike Schmidt says,